Zambia is a landlocked country, slightly larger than Texas, with an approximate population of 14 million, of whom 99.5% are Zambian, and the other 0.5% are of European descent. It currently has a $24 billion economy. It's the fourth largest copper exporter in the world, so copper is kind of like the staple of its economy. But poverty rates remain high, with 60% of the population below the poverty line. And it brings us to the question of why, why is this happening? And it's an all too common story of a long history of exploitation and corruption. However, unlike many other cases in Africa, the answer to these problems of corruption and exploitation lies in Zambia's history. The first Republic of Zambia was formed with independence in 1964. In the elections in 1964, the United National Independence Party, the UNIP, defeated its main rival, the African National Congress, the ANC. The socialist government, led by President Kenneth Kaunda, was funded by large revenue from internationally high copper prices. So initially the government was really stable and it was able to help the people, so the people really supported it, which gave Kenneth Kaunda the power to nationalize the copper industry. And so this major switch in Zambia's economy came with the Mulungushi reforms of April 1968. And with this reform, the government declared equity in a lot of foreign-owned firms, like over 51%, so they had control of them. And they eventually bought out a lot of the foreign firms, and they turned the Anglo-American Corporation and the Rhodesia Selection Trust, the two largest copper mining companies, into the Nchanga Consolidated Copper Mines and the Rowan Consolidated Mines, which were solely controlled by the government. And what this did is, instead of wages going to the small white population, they were able to guarantee the African miners higher wages, so they gained more support from the public for that. And so what this did is it took all the money out of foreign hands and placed it all into the government, and the money went directly to education and health services. And this is the UNIP had huge success. By 1972, a mere 8 years after election, Zambia's hospitals had grown by 50%, and education and literacy had also dramatically increased. All of this was due to the nationalization of copper and the successful trickling down of revenue to the people. At this point in history, officials from China, the Soviet Union, and Cuba could be seen in Zambia. Zambia signed a deal with the Soviet Union to improve infrastructure, and the Soviet Union instituted its famous 5-year plans, which were effective in increasing Zambia's infrastructure. It was a promising time in Zambian history, and the communist nations of the world saw it as hope for a successful, communist-tolerant Africa. However, before the Soviet 5-year plans for Zambia could be completed, disaster struck in 1973 when worldwide copper prices hit an all-time low, and Zambia was forced to borrow from the International Monetary Fund. They, being a capitalist organization, forced Zambia to liberalize much of its economy, and this took the money out of the hands of the people and into the hands of foreign companies again, because what it did is Zambia was forced to sell out part of its national copper mining to the foreign companies that previously owned it. So essentially they took a step back because they were forced to by the International Monetary Fund. And it had a drastic effect on the Zambian economy because the natural resources of the country were essentially being looted by foreigners, and the Zambians were forced to work for next to nothing. Furthermore, no money from the companies went to infrastructure or to education. The inhumane treatment of the Zambian people stopped in 1983 after several UN investigations. However, the damage was already done. Zambia was still forced to retain its multi-party system and the liberalization of its economy, and foreign companies continue to take money out of Zambia. The multi-party system is corrupt, and what little money should go to the Zambian people doesn't reach them. Furthermore, the Zambian government accepts large donations from foreign countries with the stipulation that they make policies that are consistent with what the countries want. So they're kind of being run by foreign companies at the moment. And Furthermore, literacy rates, life expectancy, and the average income per capita have decreased rather than increased since the socialist years. Literacy went down from Rwanda's improved 89% to 80%. Life expectancy went down from 55 years to 45 years, with the neglection of newly built hospitals. The average per capita income had decreased from $1,900 in 1975 to $1,700 in 2012. And when you adjust for inflation, this number is even greater. All this shows that Zambia was better off as a socialist one-party state, in which the money from resources went to the people, not to the government. And there lies a solution to Zambia's current problems. In order to once again flourish, it needs to renationalize copper and reinstitute a benevolent one-party state, thus once and for all stopping European and American